I think there's 3 types of relationships that every man should have. One is they should have a mentor, somebody that they look up to, that they can learn from, that they can be tutored by. That, bro, look at every king in history. They all had tutors. They all had mentors. Look at Homer. Look at Socrates. Look at Aristotle. All of them had mentors. Every single last one of them. Look at Plato. All of them had what? Mentors. You need somebody to learn from that is a senior, that is more developed in the areas that you want to grow in. And you'll have different mentors for different things. The next one is you need what? An equal. You need community. You need somebody that is at your level that what? Resonates with you, a brotherhood. So you need a mentor, you need a brotherhood, and finally you need a mentee. Every person, even if you're a scrub, you need a mentee. Maybe it's your little brother. Who are you mentoring? Why? Because that person keeps you accountable to continue developing. Why? Because they're there. So you need to take care of somebody. You need to be equals with people. You need to have a mentor. Every man needs at least one person in each one of those 3 relationships in order to what? Avoid this feeling of isolation and loneliness. But it requires what? 2 things. Proactiveness, actually going out and seeking these people. They're not just going to show up. And 2, intentionality. What are you doing with that relationship? Are you giving? Are you asking? Every relationship is a give and take. You need to be able to provide value and receive value. And in that, you build what? Reciprocity. It's the reciprocity principle. It's the back and forth. It's the ping pong. It's the business, right?
Even with I've only done 2 masterminds, but I mean, particularly the last one I did in Marbella. I mean, obviously I was doing my thing.
How was that?
It was really good. I was providing value from my end, but because there's a buy-in, the amount of stuff that I learned that weekend was crazy. Because everybody had come from different backgrounds, but ultimately the one thing we all had in common was we were all making money. But a skill set which I had, which they like, I say one of my biggest skill sets when I compare myself to all of them is I don't want to say I mastered the art of social media, but I built a following. That's one thing that they struggle with. But some of those guys were really switched on when it comes to like business or email marketing or all these little things. And we were just talking and discussing and they were like, oh, you should do this or you should try this. And I was just like, what? Like I'd never even thought about that. And I've walked away from that weekend where everybody's better off. And not only that, like I'm sure we made some long-term friends. And overall, it was a great experience.
You got mentored by your mentees.
Yeah.
And it's true. Like that's the exact, and then you had some equals. And then you have people in the fitness space that you look up to and those people mentor you. And now that's why you have that compatibility. And even though you're a lone wolf, you have those 3 relationships balanced. Every man needs that. But most men are isolated in their room with their little fucking LED lights and on their computer playing video games. And they assume that people are going to come to them and reach out to them. If you want to become a high value man, it's not just to get a high value woman. It's to find other high value men that will what? Be in synergy with you. Yeah. Because a mastermind, this concept of a mastermind is when many minds come together to form a mastermind. So a mastermind isn't an event. A mastermind is when many brilliant people come together to form literally a super brain.
Have you done them before?
Yes. Yeah.
How have they been for you?
Huh?
How have they been for you?
Incredible.
Yeah.
I think people should go to masterminds. I think people should become extremely skilled and build their own masterminds, whether it's at a mentee level or at a peer level. I think you can do a free mastermind. If you're in business, an aspiring entrepreneur, if you know aspiring entrepreneurs in your area, it doesn't have to be the same business. Maybe you're in digital marketing. Maybe the other guy runs a lawn mowing business. Maybe the other guy runs a roofing company. Maybe the other guy runs a tourism company. But what can you learn from each other? And in that relationship, you build what? A mentorship group. You build an accountability group. It doesn't have to be paid, but usually the paid ones come with structure, more experience, things that you can count on. But every man should be involved in groups of accountability, in groups of mentorship. 100%. It's undeniable. Most of the successful people, I'll give you an example. I live in Puerto Rico. The Ritz-Carlton, the membership, $100,000 to get in. Right? If you want to be part of the club at the Ritz-Carlton, it's $100,000. That's the buy-in. Okay. Why did I pay for my Ritz-Carlton membership? Because of the members that are there.
Yeah.
It's my buy-in. There's places where you have to pay to play. There's rooms that we will never be able to get into because it'll cost you fucking $50 million. What do you think people that go and pay those, people go to charities and they'll go and drop $25 million on a charity. Do you think some of these guys are doing it out of goodwill? No, because they realize that who they're giving the charity to, whatever that organization, that foundation is, will give them access to that club, that group of people. And then my maintenance fee every single month is $1,000. Why do I do that? Because I know that when I go to the pool area, it's full of rich people. Why? Because I know how much it costs them to pay there. So I know it's no bullshit. But it's a pay to play game, just like in a video game. Do you want to get into the high places? You either need to be super experienced, super skilled, super prestigious, or you got to pay.
Who's your mentors, or who are the mentors you've had in the past that have had the biggest effect on you?
I have two. One that is no longer alive, and then one that is still alive. One that is no longer alive, Leonardo da Vinci. I studied da Vinci a lot because at his time, he was considered a crazy man. Now we revere him as a genius, but he was a polymath. That means he was a man of many skills. So he was a mathematician, he was an engineer, he was an artist, he was a sculptor, he was a businessman. He was actually a freelancer. People see all the paintings and the things that he was doing. He didn't do that for free. He was getting paid to do those things. But at the time, he was considered a freak by many people. You look at, for example, the painting of the Last Supper, right? It was actually painted in a church or in a building. It was a commissioned piece of work. It wasn't painted, for his goodwill. And that ended up turning into a stable, like where they would put horses. So this piece of art that we revere as a massive part of humanity in the arts, and it was once, the graffiti of a stable. And it's absolutely crazy to think about. But at the time, he was misunderstood. So I studied Da Vinci. Da Vinci has this incredible quote. He says, it's a famous quote. He says, "To develop a complete mind, study let me say it again. When I think of Da Vinci, it's just fucking crazy. But anyways, Da Vinci famously said, to develop a complete mind, study the science of art, study the art of science, learn how to see, realize that everything connects to everything else." What does this mean? This means that he understood that he could study art in a scientific way, and he could study science in an artistic way. And that what he was told reality wasn't the way that it was. Maybe we perceive reality by the constructs that we've been given and not for what reality actually is. If you want to develop a complete mind, you need to develop multiple aspects of your life. That's why the same thing with your mastermind. You went and you developed a more complete mind because you learn from people, from aspects that you'd never even recognize were reality. Learn how to see, realize that everything connects to everything else. So how you do fitness is how you do business. How you take care of your girl is how you're going to take care of your customers. How you're honest with yourself is how you're going to be honest with others. Everything connects to everything else. So Leonardo da Vinci, massive inspiration, mentor to me. The second one is an OG digital marketer. He's no longer kind of like on the pinnacle, but his name's Jay Abraham. He was doing $1 million masterminds back in the 90s when it was like actually like balling. He was doing like $1 million days. He's a digital marketer, probably like a pioneer of business. Those would be the two guys that I would revere at the top of my list.
Was he someone who you were actively speaking to or just learning?
Yeah. So I was a big fan of his work, and then I got introduced to him and I speak to him on a weekly basis. He's like a top dog.
You pay for that?
No, free.
Okay.
Yeah. Relationships, brother.
Nice.